Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
So, I'm here. Only 5 minutes late, but I'm here. And I need to close the door because I had cats in here and I felt bad kicking them out. You know how it is, like, don't disturb a sleeping cat. So I'm going to quickly put this on. Give me 1 sec. Does that bottom ticker thing look weird for you guys too, or only my side? 1 sec. Oh.
Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know.
Such a good song. Every time I hear it, the only thing is, like, it feels a bit like sad and emotional. Okay. I want to just try and see if I can make this ever so slightly bigger. Maybe if I do that and then scroll across a little, make it 125. Let's see how that looks. Move this in a bit. So weird that I can't, like, get it to fill the screen. Like, I don't understand why I can't just sit next to me. I'll move myself a bit smaller. That's a bit better. There we go. Okay. And I think if I hover around here somewhere. Nope. I've got to leave in 5 minutes, but I'm going to leave the stream running. Thanks, Raymondo. That's really awesome. I appreciate it. I'm also going to do this quickly. Dropping this in here. I've got a new, so if you were here last week, I basically read the disclaimer from straight from ChatGPT, but this time I made this thing. And then the next page is, wait, you have to swear yourself in. I thought that was really funny. Okay, let me just go back to StreamYard. So if you do happen to join, then sounded like an airline stewardess. Yes, that was my tram voice or whatever Steve called it at the time. If you do join, you're going to have to say the disclaimer, but also I'm going to need you to, oopsie, sorry, shakiest desk in the world, but it's so pretty. I'm going to need you to, like, say in the comments, because I just completely missed the green room part of it. And I'm going to start with the ones that are, like, less, like, there's some that I have kind of gathered from other parts of the internet, and then I've adjusted it to be more anonymous. So I'll do those a bit in, because I think I've said it a million times. Oh, I didn't save that layout. Let's save it as that. So I've gathered them, and then I've made them a bit more anonymous, because I don't know if the people actually wanted it to be, like, outside of a closed subreddit. But those are more like they literally don't know if it's their ADHD doing the thing or not. Okay, so let me also just find my waiting room music. Which one are you again? Are you this? Yes. Waiting room music. Okay, so hey, don't pollute. So the first one. For the past few years, my daughter, female 17, has been extremely depressed and has been having huge anxiety attacks whenever she has to leave the house. She hasn't been diagnosed with anything, but we're going through autism assessments and ADHD ones too. It's been difficult on her with all the appointments, and I understand how she feels, though she always says I'm not listening to her and I'm too harsh when I make her do things. Edit, she was sent to medical professionals last year to test for BPD, which I think they probably meant borderline personality disorder, but they might mean bipolar disorder. I was incorrectly diagnosed with bipolar instead of ADHD and rabbit holed, obviously, and apparently it's very common. But it was a waste of time as they can't diagnose her until she's 18. I don't agree with that, but I'm not a medical professional. So 3 days ago, she had a meeting with her teacher at college to do some extra college work as she finds it difficult to concentrate in class. So this meetup was going to be very helpful for her. Is the font big enough? I'm sorry about how, that shakiness is terrible. This webcam says it can click on nicely, but it actually doesn't. But I really like its quality, so it's a bit of a trade-off there. She woke up on that day, an hour before the meeting, and was angry about the fact she had to leave. I gave her two options, as I said that she either went to the meetup or she stays at home and gets kicked out of college. She has already had 4 chances at this college and has been kicked out of 2 before, so nobody else would take her. She can't get a job either from intense anxiety or this huge fear of leaving the house. My partner took her to college and she didn't speak to her once in the car. Then she got out and called her. She called her names I can't repeat and said I shouldn't have made her go because she was too anxious and hates going. Also, it being the Easter holidays and it wasn't natural to go during them. Okay, I'm a little bit lost on that one. And I also just very quickly want to try and connect my mouse so that I don't have to bump the table every single time I scroll. Okay, we're connected. Why is it not natural to go during them? That's a bit of a weird one for me. But anyway, let's continue. She went in and finished the meeting about an hour later. She got home and was perfectly fine, though my partner says that I maybe should have let her have it off today and worked something out with the teacher. My partner says she could have been having an episode and shouldn't have said anything because it's not our daughter's fault. She can't deal with emotions well. I don't agree, but does this make me the rascal? Is there any info? If there's any info I've missed, let me know. Okay, waiting room music quick. Okay, I'm just going to scroll back up to remind myself. So the daughter is 17. She's been extremely depressed. So depression would ordinarily make her not want to do things, struggle with the motivation. Also, waking up can be difficult. For me, it's more like because I have insomnia as well, so I won't be able to sleep. And then when I do fall asleep, it's like I just can't wake up. Like no matter what I do, I just cannot wake up. She's been having huge anxiety attacks when she has to leave the house. That to me does not just sound like ADHD. I think that the fact that they can't do anything until she's 18, I would get a second opinion. I don't think that's right. And like it's reached the point where it's impacting her day-to-day life, it's not really like you can't leave it that long. That'll be too long. It'll be too late. Everything will be a mess already. She woke up on that day an hour before the meeting, was angry that she had to leave. Okay, well, obviously her anger could be her anxiety. And then the partner says she shouldn't have made her go. I strongly disagree. I think given she's 17, the parents are trying. They're trying to give her medical help. The system isn't helping with that, so it is a bit tricky in that aspect. But she's kind of at the age now. Oh my gosh, my hair is pulling. There's one hair pulling. You know that feeling when it's just one and you can't figure out which one. She's kind of at the age now where I think that she needs to kind of figure out that, unfortunately, it doesn't matter if you're having an awful day or, you know, it's not nice to leave the house, that you kind of have to figure it out. Something that helped me a lot is taking earphones with me and listening to something that is pretty engaging. So like now when I go to the mall, I used to hate going to malls. Like I enjoy shopping, just not on days when there's a load of other people or in shops that are very loud. But now I just take earphones with me and listen to like a podcast or something while I'm busy doing the thing, so that I don't have to be so sensitive to everything around me. And I think that she kind of had to learn this lesson, because what is she going to do when it's work, when it's university? Like, unless she can get on disability, which I don't even know if that would cover it. Like, I think a lot of people have to have both disability and some kind of like side job. I don't know. Renee says waiting doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me at all. At all. I can't understand how they would say that she has to be 18. How would anyone younger than 18 get diagnosed? And it sounds like this parent does want to help, so it doesn't sound like they went against trying, like they telling a porky about the diagnosis. It sounds pretty honest. I don't know. I don't have a verdict for this one. I actually, no, I do. I'm just trying to be diplomatic, but really the verdict is not the rascal. I don't think that, like, if she hasn't been diagnosed with ADHD, it doesn't mean she doesn't have it, but the symptoms that she is displaying and struggling with do not seem to be exclusively an ADHD thing. And even if it is, there are coping mechanisms without medication. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I have to go with not. I'm gonna have to go with not. I think the parent did the right thing. I feel bad for the daughter because being a teenager is incredibly hard, but how is she going to figure life out? Like, my mom was just here. Part of the reason why I'm late, because I was talking my mom's ear off. I have to brush this thing or it's going to drive me insane and distract me. It's just made its own little path on the side here for whatever reason. I was talking my mom's ear off, but like now that I'm an adult, I can't just be like, Mom, I'm not having a good focus week. Can I take the week off? Like, if I'm not having a good focus week, it's up to me to manage it. And if it's bipolar, not borderline, then it's even worse that they're not diagnosing, because the medication is a must-have. Like, weird. I wonder where they are. That's the only thing they don't say, like, what country they're in. Okay, next one. This one is Am I the rascal for firing my time-blind niece from babysitting? So I read this wrong, and it's literally in the description wrong. And I think maybe even the thumbnail. And I only realized it about 2 seconds ago when I read the word time. I have 3 kids. They're not. Oh, sorry, wait, I didn't share the screen. Preview. Preview. Okay. I have 3 kids. Was that the first line? I have 3 kids that are not old enough to be left alone at home. They are 10, 8, and 7. We need a babysitter, but she is in college now and can't do it. I have a niece that is 16 and she has high functioning autism. My wife and I agreed to let her babysit when my sister asked. Easy way to have a babysitter, and she gets pocket money to spend. She babysat last week and she was late. We were able to get to our event, but it was annoying. The whole night went well and the kids had a good time. I informed her she cannot be late since we have places to be. Today, my wife and I had to get to a work function and we needed to be on time. She was supposed to babysit, but when she was 20 minutes late, I called her and told her not to come. I pulled a favor from my neighbor and we left. I got a call from my sister, pissed that I had fired my niece, and it's not her fault, she has time blindness. That my niece has been very upset about being fired, and personally, I think it's a good life experience. Better to figure it out now before she gets a job when you clock in. My sister called me a jerk, and my wife is thinking I may be too harsh, even if she agrees that her being late is an issue. Am I the rascal? Okay, one sec. Just give me a minute. This thing is not scrolling the way I want it to. Are we zoomed in here? What is the situation? In full screen mode, new private messages will appear, but you can't see the other messages. Okay. All right. I don't know what I did, but no. Strong not for me. Strong not at all. But firing didn't have to be the first step. What I would do is, and they did this to us in campus radio, we had to be at our shows an hour early. If you did not beep your tag in an hour before your show, you were late. And then you get in trouble, and it's a disciplinary thing. You should be telling her to get there like an hour before you have to leave. And then you also need to be the one to have the difficult conversation. I was talking about this yesterday. There was someone I worked with in radio that had a very blunt, difficult conversation with me because I am generally chronically late, especially for like family gatherings and whatnot. Like work, I learned to be better about, but only because of that conversation. Because my colleague basically said to me, like, and my whole thing was I couldn't figure out traffic. I couldn't figure out the travel time. I was struggling because it was always worse than I expected. And he said to me, like, I don't care. If it's worse than you expect, then plan to be here 30 minutes early. You can get here and go up to the shop and have a walk around or sit outside. Like we were right on the beachfront. He's like, you can sit on the beach if you want to. I don't care. But when it comes time to do your job, you cannot be late, and you also cannot be running in unprepared. And that like flipped a switch for me, because I think I appreciated one of the things that I struggle with sometimes is like, if people don't say exactly the thing that they're meaning, then I kind of fill in the blanks, but in a way that's like, I almost make it worse in my head than it is. And so if someone just says to me bluntly, like, you can't do this because this, then I'm like, okay, thank you. And also if they say how it affects them rather than how it affects me, then I'm more prone. Like, I will do anything for anyone else, which is not good. Like, you shouldn't be like that. But I just think that it is a learning opportunity, but only if you explain to her and only if you offer a solution. Like, she's 20, her frontal lobe hasn't finished connecting. She cannot make rational decisions necessarily. If you want her to learn from it, then tell her the lesson. But I wouldn't have let it slide. Not the rascal in my opinion, but I'm biased because I hate being late. So I hate other people being late. Like, it feels so disrespectful. But I struggle with being on time myself, mostly because I know I need to leave at X time and then I'm ready. But then as I'm about to leave, I think, oh my gosh, I haven't done this thing. And I rush around and do that and rush around and do that and rush around and do that. And then all of a sudden, before I know it, I'm late. But there are ways to counter that. Like, when I plan my travel time, I add 15 to 20 minutes. And then when I plan the time that I need to leave, I add another 10. So no matter what happens, I should technically be 40 minutes early. Actually, one of my first therapists I went to he wasn't a therapist, he was like a counselor, but he was this elderly man, retired psychologist. And I saw him on Mondays at 1. And he said to me, if there's one thing that I can depend on in the week, it is that you will get here at exactly 1300 hours. It will not be 59 and it will not be 1301. You will arrive at exactly 1300 hours. And I was like, oh, that's the best compliment you've ever given me. Like, I'm consistent. It's great. If the niece doesn't get a conversation about why, then it isn't a lesson. Exactly. That's my problem. Like, you can't just be like, okay, you're fired because time blindness. Like, she's 20. Tell her what would be better. Say, like, listen, I'm giving you this warning, but if it happens again, we're going to have to find someone else. Because also, let her fail with family rather. It's not going to be a good thing when she is working. A lot of people have to work before their prefrontal cortex is connected, like me. I was working without my rational brain there to help me. Also, if anyone... Oh, but it'll all be US recommendations. Recommendations for a chair. Excuse me, because this one is not one... It's comfy, but I can't, like, jump around as much in it as I need to. And now I've got hiccups. I just quickly want to reset this thing. Okay. As far as the brain will come up with whys that aren't good. Yeah, I can, but also, like, I can convince, this is one of the things with getting myself to do stuff or not do stuff. I can rationalize absolutely anything to myself, and I can find loopholes everywhere. Like, if I wasn't going to be a journalist, I would have been a lawyer, and I'm telling you, I would have been good at it because I can always see the loophole. Like, if you give me a scenario, I will probably see an opening where other people might not. Like, a good quality and a bad quality at the same time, because I will figure out a way around. Like, I love rules and I will follow rules till the end of time if they are logical. If they're not logical, then I will loophole them, probably. Okay, next one. This is, am I the rascal for refusing to take down my daughter's good grades from the fridge, even though it hurts my stepdaughter's self-esteem? Oof. Throw away and unphone and fix the title, so I reposted it. I'm married to my husband for about a year now. My husband has a daughter, Jenny, probably from his previous marriage, that is 16. My daughter is 14. Jenny is old enough that she stays and goes as she pleases from different parents' homes. 16, okay. Last summer, she was here almost every day, and during the school year, she would be at home 3 times a week. I have always put good grades on the fridge. I've done this since my daughter has been tiny. She will still give me grades to put on the fridge, especially now that her classes are harder, and she is proud of how well she did. The most recent one was her chemistry exam. She struggled all year and she got an A on it. She has been very proud of it. The issue is my stepdaughter hates this. I've told her if she gets good grades, if she wants, we can put it on the fridge. Today, she ripped down the chemistry test from the fridge and we got into an argument. She wants me to stop putting tests on the fridge since she never has one to put up. I told her no. She is calling me a jerk. My husband is also pissed and wants me to stop. We also had an argument, and I'm not going to punish my own child just because she doesn't get good grades. Back here I go. All the way to the bottom. I'm sorry, but it's a no. And I think the reason this one came up was because I think they reiterated in the comments somewhere that the stepdaughter might have ADHD, and so like it's an unobtainable thing. And to me, that doesn't change much. So I have 2 siblings, a younger brother, older sister. Both of them could get really good marks without having to put in a lot of work. I had to put in an exceptional amount of work. And I tend to, I mean, it's like classic ADHD, but my procrastination is often like organization. So I can get really good marks, but what would happen is I would get the good marks because of rejection sensitivity. Like I wanted the teachers to have me as teacher's pet, but I would make myself have a hard time because if I just organized my work better, if I just organized my files better, if I just wrote this out neater, if this was just this, if this was just this, then it would all be okay. And so I would do all of that and then run out of time. Or I would sabotage myself by, like, university was a classic example. I kind of figured, like, if I hand in tests late or assignments late, but they're really good, then the 10% that gets taken off doesn't matter because I'd rather, hand in something good late. But the problem is, it didn't matter if it's not like I used that extra time to put in extra effort. If something was due at midnight tonight, I would start it at 11 tonight. And then I would probably finish it around like 11:30. But I wouldn't start it at like 10 and then finish like, it wasn't like I'd been working on it for days. Like some people could start an assignment on Monday that was due for Saturday. I just did not do that. It was way too boring. It was a long task, could not. So I guess it's also different for me there. But to me, the way that I see the mom putting the good grades up is like her daughter does it because she needs that thing to work towards. She wants that recognition. So she gets good marks so that she can get the recognition. So if you take that away from her, she might not do as well. The stepdaughter, it's hard to answer because what is happening at her mom's house? Is there something is she constantly being criticized? And so that just feels like another dig. Do the parents ever compare them to each other? Is it like a shadow thing? Grades piss me off. I don't think they're capable of knowing your knowledge. I have the best story, actually. Let me go full screen for this. So when I was in grade 7, so I think I was 12 turning 13, our principal said to us, actually no, I was grade 6, so I was 12 turning 13. our principal said to us that by law they have to do an IQ test, but he personally doesn't agree with IQ tests. And in fact, this is what happened to him when he was in school. So they said, okay, we're doing an IQ test. You can't go outside now. You can't go to the bathroom. You have 10 minutes and then, time's up or whatever. And he suddenly, because he couldn't leave, really needed a wee. And he opened the test, and the first page was a bucket, and the next one was about taps. And all he could think about this whole test was the fact that he was bursting for a wee. And he finished the test, handed it in, and actually came back way below the average IQ. So his parents were brought in. He became like a special ed, which is what they called it back then. I mean, he would be like 90 something now. So just add the time there. They called it special ed. He became a special ed kid because he didn't manage the test because he just needed a wee. That was what he could focus on. This man was probably one of the most intelligent, well-articulated, well-read people that taught me in my entire school career. And he had failed an IQ test. He had come up as below average intelligence. Absolutely wild. So I agree with you on that, because some people also just don't do well with tests. The pressure of like, this is it now. I do well with that because I need that time boxed. Like, now we're going to sit down and we're going to do this thing. And you have to be done by this time or it's too late. That's that, like, there's no budging. That's good for me. Also, because I'm a pretty fast worker. Surprisingly, I would tend to work incredibly fast and then be bored afterwards and get naughty. So I prefer the situation where it's like the next 2 hours is it. Okay, and then somebody on, I just quickly want to get their name. Well, I actually don't know if they'd want me to show their name. They commented on my last podcast and said I should do this test on Steam, but I couldn't find the exact one on Steam. So I thought I would try this one, which is Embrace Autism. Basically, they said I should do it to see if I'm masking, and that's why I'm not coming up on the spectrum, like in therapy and that sort of thing. And I'm totally open to it. Like, I don't mind. If I feel like there are questions in the test that I would prefer not to answer on the podcast, then I'll just move back to the other thing. Okay. So I need to share again. All right, so this is the site, Embrace Autism. Let's see. The CAT-Q is designed for adults ages 16 plus of average to higher intelligence. Okay, I think I'm good there. I don't know. It sucks that I don't know. I think I'm like above average, but I don't know. What it tests, the CAT-Q measures the degree to which you use camouflaging strategies. The more you camouflage, the more of your autistic proclivities you are likely able to suppress. First of all, off the mark, I think that they are wording it too jargony, and I wish they'd just said it more simply. But anyway, if you're watching this, Embrace Autism somehow. Actually, I want to put this, I'll put this link in the description afterwards. I would love to give them that feedback, because it feels like the words are too complicated for my brain to process before a test. As such, a high camouflaging score can also account for lower scores on other autism tests. So if you don't currently meet the diagnostic criteria, but you still think you have autistic traits, then this could be why. The CAT-Q measures camouflaging in general as well as 3 subcategories. Compensation, strategies used to actively compensate for difficulties in social situations. Examples, copying body language and facial expressions, guilty, learning social cues from movies and books. Masking, strategies used to hide autistic characteristics or portray a non-autistic persona. Examples, adjusting face and body to appear confident and or relaxed, forcing eye contact. I am so glad I don't even force eye contact anymore. I don't care. I'm sorry if it offends you that I am not keeping eye contact. It does not make me insincere. I am just not going to do it because it makes me uncomfortable. Assimilation, strategies used to try fit in with others in social situations. Examples, putting on an act, avoiding or forcing interaction with others. This is where it gets tricky because like that was my job for so long and I did it very well. So then like, I feel like I should be doing this with my therapist, not just by myself online. But anyway, taking the test consists of 25 statements giving you 7 choices for each statement. Strongly disagree, disagree, somewhat disagree. Oh, this is such a flaw in an autism test. So, as far as I know, there was a study that said that like people with ADHD or on the autism spectrum really don't like these categories because there's a follow-up question. And I'm so guilty of this on so many tests. Like, what if I fall somewhere between like here? It's not neither agree nor disagree. Maybe I'm just absolutely indifferent. It's a weird example, but 25 statements relate to 3 subcategories. 9 statements, compensation. 8 statements, masking. 8 statements, assimilation. All the thoughts, exactly. Like, as soon as I take a test, I just know it's not going to be like, it's not black or white. Like, if they, okay, here's an example. You know, in those personality tests, when they say, in this situation, are you most likely to, in a situation, you are most likely to this, agree, disagree, somewhat agree, or like rank these in order. Okay, but you haven't told me enough about the situation. Do I have someone there that I feel safe with? Am I by myself? Are the people around me also neurodivergent? Are the people around me staring at me? Am I dressed appropriately? Did I take my meds today? Have my meds already worn off? Is the environment noisy? Is the environment quiet? I kind of feel like I'm talking myself into coming out of this test with a big score. But I'll be open to it. I'll be open to it. And I can always send it on to my psychologist. We can do a real one. Okay. I'm not going to look at the ratings. I'm not going to look at any of this because I will then answer I will instinctively answer according to a certain way. Oh, here we go. First question. Please read. Okay, wait, before I start, is it big enough for you to see on the screen right now? Well, I suppose I'll read them out loud anyway, but when I'm interacting with someone, let's do that. Move it over like that. No, a little bit this way. How's that? Okay. When I'm interacting with someone, I deliberately copy their body language or facial expressions. Well, it depends. Is it my mom? Is it a random person? Am I feeling uncomfortable? I can't even answer the first question. I literally I feel like I need to ask Vaughn if I do that. I think I do. I know the journalist Vicky does because that's a way to make a person feel comfortable. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to have to say this feels like a game show, but I don't know what the prize is. Uh, mm, somewhat agree. I monitor my body language or facial expressions so that I appear relaxed. Yes, I do. Because I know that when I was changing meds, some of the higher doses of meds that I didn't get along that well with made my face very tense, and I was very aware of it. I rarely feel the need to put on an act in order to get through a social situation. Disagree. Strong disagree there, actually, but I'm going to go with disagree because if it's a social situation with people I'm comfortable with, like super comfortable, like if it's Vaughan and it's him and I out, then I'm fine. But if it's like, I'm going to go with disagree. I have developed a script to follow in social situations. What do you mean? What do you mean? What kind of script? Are we talking words or are we talking like how I must act? I don't know why I feel like I'm getting teary because I can't answer this. It's like making me feel like it's making me feel really weird. Like I don't know what the right answer is, but there is no right answer. I'm gonna say somewhat disagree. I will repeat phrases that I've heard others say in the exact same way that I first heard them. Are they funny? Is it like a meme? Is it like or is it just like if I'm quoting something, then yes, I will do it the same way I first heard it. I really want to get in touch with these people and be like, this test is just not going to work. I'll go with somewhat agree. I adjust my body language or facial expressions. Agree. I feel like I'm performing. Agree. In my own social interactions, I use behaviors that I've learned from watching other people interacting. That one's also so vague. What do you mean? I use behaviors that I've learned from watching other people interacting. Well, am I using them because I grew up knowing that is the thing? Like, this is making me so uncomfortable. I don't know if I can agree or disagree here. Renee says this test sucks. I have to agree with you. I'm so stuck. I feel like I have an answer for everything. I use behaviors that I've learned from watching other people interacting. I guess I agree to a point because that is kind of how you end up building a personality. Like you watch your parents interact, you watch people at school interact. I always think about the impression I make on other people. I actually think I'm going to go strongly agree, but that's mostly because I have social anxiety. I need the support of other people in order to socialize. Yes. I practice my facial expressions and body language. No, I don't do that. I try not to. I try to let them be natural because, fun fact, I did a body language course. If you watch the behavior panel on YouTube, I did a body language course through them, through Scott and Chase. No, Scott and Greg. And so I try to just let my expressions be as natural as they can be. And when I'm thinking about are they natural, it's normally more to do with like the muscles rather than like I just don't want people to pick up on things that may come across as tells when they aren't. I don't feel the need to make eye contact with other people if I don't want to. Agree. I'm not going to strongly agree because there are still people that I feel like I have to. But my thing with eye contact is like I feel like they are literally staring into my soul. Like if they say eyes are the windows to the soul. You don't deserve a place in my soul. You don't deserve to see inside there. That's private. I have to force myself to interact with people when I'm in social situations. Agree. I almost strongly agree, but there are days I'm a real social butterfly. But it's like if I put my personality on for the day, then it's that. I've tried to improve my understanding of social skills by watching other people. I guess doing a behavior course would kind of put me in the agree category. I monitor my body language or facial expressions that I appear interested. Somewhat agree, because I feel like we were already asked this and I feel like it's a trick question now. When in social situations, I try to find ways to avoid interacting with others. Strongly agree. You know, I'm going to be going to the bathroom like every 15 minutes. And also, I am probably like, if it's a gathering and there's kids, you'll probably find me going off and being like the built-in babysitter, or I'll be cleaning or something. I just need that mental break. Break, not breakdown. I've researched the rules of social interactions to improve my own social skills. Again, where does the body language course fall in this question? Because I don't think I was doing it for me. It was more for me to like pick up on other people. I'm going to say neither agree nor disagree, because I feel like when I was younger, maybe I probably did look into it. I don't know. I'm always aware of the impression I make. Didn't we answer this already? Strongly agree. I have social anxiety. I feel free to be myself when I am with other people. Disagree. Definitely depends on the people. This is so vague that I'm actually just like, I've just gone into whatever mode now. Whatever answer we get. I learn how people use their bodies and faces to interact by watching television or films or reading fiction. Strongly disagree, because people don't tend to do it properly. It's that. So the main reason I took the body language course like way back initially was because I have written a novel and I wanted my characters to be more aligned with normal human beings, and it felt easier for me to understand why a person would do a certain thing. They're literally asking the same questions over and over. I adjust my body language or facial expression so I appear relaxed. When talking to other people, I feel like the conversation flows naturally. Someone disagree, because it depends who the other people are. They literally just asked this question. I've spent time learning social skills from television shows and films and try to use these in my interactions. In social interactions, I do not pay attention to what my face and body are doing. Strongly disagree, because I have social anxiety and I'm trying to like be natural, but also not pay attention to it. In social situations, I feel like I'm pretending to be normal. Again, what social situations? Are we all neurodivergent? Because then I don't feel like that. Then I feel completely comfortable. Am I with family? Is it like uncomfortable social situations? I'm going to say somewhat agree, because I like who I am, but sometimes I feel like people make me not want to be that. That I didn't mean for that to sound more, but it was a joke. Total 126, compensation total 34, masking subtotal 45. Yes, download the PDF, please, because I need to take this to my therapist. Okay, so what does it mean? So I got 126 compensation. Would love to know how men feel about scoring on their compensation. 34 masking. 45 assimilation, which is really just a fancy way of saying copying. I could have just said that, is 47. Okay, so now what does that mean? Huh? Average scores. A total score of 100 or above indicates you camouflage autistic traits. Oh, man. Like, well in there. But other than knowing the threshold, making sense of your scores can be challenging. It may be helpful to compare your results to the average scores of autistics and non-autistics. Also, I don't feel like that's a nice way to say it. Autistics and non-autistics. Can we not say people on the spectrum? Autistic females and autistic non-binary people camouflage the most. That's interesting. Okay, total score. Female, 124. Oh, guys, I scored higher than that. Compensation, 41. Okay, I did okay on the compensation. I'm not compensating too much. Masking, 45. Off the charts on masking. Assimilation, I got 47, 44. So I'm off the charts on compensation. I'm going to say average. The average of that is 124.35. The average of compensation is 41.85. The average of masking is 37.87. The average here is 44.63. Neurotypicals. Oh, guys, there's no way I fit into any of that. Oh, dear. Okay. Well, let's go back to the top of the page so that I can get this and drop it in here. And then I'm going to just quickly put on a song so that I can have a sip of my drink.
Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Talk for hours and never slept. Two silhouettes on the concrete steps. We watched the sun as it slowed.
Okay, let me catch up on comments. Hey, Ivan, good to see you. I don't think you've actually caught a stream yet, and I'm guessing it's largely because time zones are just not on our side. Ivan and I are going to try and land up on the same stream for Vegan Patriot, the one that dropped a C-bomb in a live while I was doing it in the middle of the day. My goal in social situations is for people to not know I'm even there. I feel you! My goal is to not be in social situations in the first place. So that probably answers it. The only other time I've gotten such high marks in like mental health tests, like I got full marks for the ADHD one. I was so stoked. I literally told the psychiatrist, like, I've never gotten full marks in anything. I'm pretty surprised by this. And then when I had to change meds, essentially the meds that I was on wreaked havoc. They were for bipolar, not ADHD. I don't actually have bipolar, so obviously I had a little bit of a breakdown. Landed up in a clinic, and they had like these self-tests for like anxiety, depression, and burnout. All three of them, I was off the charts, like off the charts. So yeah, I do very well at mental health tests. I get very high marks. I force myself to go to work. Well, thankfully, I work from home, and I don't think I could ever go to a physical workspace again because everything's just so loud. kind of agoraphobic. I don't understand why people want me to be outside. What is so great there? Like, why? Why do I need to go outside? What is the point? What am I missing? I don't need to go to a store. I can order online. It's 2024. Like, I can't actually imagine being this age now, at the ripe age of 33. I said, like, I'm like 75. I can't imagine going to a club. Like, the music must just be so loud and like everyone's so close. Ugh. The sun and trees and animals. Yeah, so Ivan, I don't mind going outside away from people. Like, I'm happy. So, like, one of the things that was really cool, like when I went to Zurich and Edinburgh and all of that, like, I really like missioning around by myself, doing my own thing. And I find it a lot easier in other countries to just do my thing. And I think it's probably because there's not this feeling of like anyone would ever remember me, you know? I think it was also made worse because when I did work in radio, it was at one of the big stations. And so there was a short time when the show I was on, my voice became relatively well known, and I would land up like speaking in a shop and someone would be like, "Oh my gosh, are you Vicky?" And then I would feel so awkward, and it just felt like obviously I was happy to meet people and like chat to them, but it started feeling like anything I did in public could come back to me, you know, like even if I'm chatting to someone, I am just a pretty awkward person, which is kind of why I like having friends that are also like ADHD, neurodivergent, because it feels like it's okay to be weird. Waterfalls and butterflies. I absorb the social role. I can soak up the crowd while people not into it can hide. So Ivan, I was great at this when I drank, and then once I was sober, my social interactions were not good. But also, obviously, through therapy, figured out that was why I drank, because I was like, I could very easily be the funnest person in the room. Like, if you ask me to go to an after party until 10 in the morning the next day, I would be there. Like, I'll be the person. I'd always be the last person to go to bed. I'd always be the last one to stop drinking. I'd always be like, I always had to have the most fun, which was the problem. But like, then I would have answered this entirely differently. But now that I don't have that crutch, I'm kind of like, I don't want to people. Okay. Should we play the little jingle again? And then go back to that. Let me just minimize this comment.
Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
I love that so much. I love that little jingle. It's so cool, if I may say so myself. Okay, why is StreamYard flashing at me like that? That was weird. Oh, that's almost better than me being at the side like that or like that. Yeah, let's do the tiny little bottom one. Then you can probably see the writing better. Okay. Am I the rascal for screaming and crying at my son's accident? Whoa, rough start. Okay. I, 26 female, have a 4-year-old son. We were celebrating my husband's birthday, so a good few people were at our house. We have a shaky old bookshelf that we use for old VHS movies that has fallen down twice now. We've been meaning to get rid of it, but we've decided to focus on our living situations first. That's fine, just nail it into the wall. My son was laying down on his back with his feet to the bottom of the shelf out of boredom while I was deciding on a position for the couch. A small earthquake happened, and a small earthquake happened, and it began to fall toward him. I screamed, admittedly loud, threw myself over the couch, and pulled him out of the way by his arm. He just laughed and called me girl flash because I was fast and I just held on to him and began to cry. People who heard my scream were in the room now, and he explained what happened. My sister reassured me and said, "Stop crying." Wait, how old is this kid again? 4. This kid talks very well for a 4-year-old. But I couldn't. She got annoyed after a bit and said I was being dramatic and he was fine. I said rather harshly, "You watch that shelf almost fall on your daughter and just go back to normal." She said, just as you as ever. Is my brain tired or is this person very confusing? And left me alone. When my husband came back from his dad taking him for his birthday gift, he was console shopping during the incident. My sister said, "Sorry about her, you're in for a hell of a marriage." He asked about what she was talking about, noticing I was still misty-eyed. I explained and he just said nothing. Put the VHS tapes in a box and dragged the shelf to the garage and locked it. He asked not to invite her places again. I feel like I ended his birthday on a sour note. Am I the rascal? Okay, where is this thing? Hello? Bit soft. That's what she said. Okay. I think I need to go to the actual Reddit thing and see how this came up under ADHD, because I suspect what people in the comments were probably saying is, does your sister have ADHD? Because it sounds like she has no filter. When I read it, I laughed because I can imagine my sister saying something like that, and it would be very like tongue in cheek, like, haha, good luck. And I think that maybe they were saying that the sister has no filter. Yes, for the sister to make such a rude and derogatory comment to the husband is worthy of getting a severe talking to. Okay, so I don't know why it was such a big deal and why it came up for ADHD. This may not be an ADHD one, but hey, whatever, we're here now. Let's weigh in. I think that for me, there's 2 things. I have been called dramatic, emotional, like, been told I'm overreacting. And part of it is emotional dysregulation. Part of it is trauma. And sometimes if I'm like a bit theatrical, too sensitive, exactly, Renee. I've been told I'm too sensitive so much. And it's just because I had bad emotional regulation. Like once I did DBT and I did a bunch of therapy, it was a lot better. And also rejection sensitivity, like people saying things even in jest felt very much like a personal attack. And I just had to figure out that it's not. But my sister's also neurodivergent, so sometimes we can be a bit too unfiltered with each other. But I feel like that's a pretty sibling thing. But I also don't think it's nice for her to be like, you overreacted to this thing, because I'm not a parent, but I would panic as well, because actually a shelf falling on a child can kill them, and it can be a big deal. And if her body got the fright, she would still have the adrenaline rush, and then crying would be natural because her body's trying to get like all of that excess out. A balance between giving too many F's and none at all. This is what the first 4 years of my 30s have been, because when I was 29, I had a little crisis about like who I am and whatever, and then landed up not really caring that much in my 30s. But then like you do still have to be conscious of how people see you, right? So you can't be too like, oh, whatever. But I do feel like her husband is majorly overreacting. Like, for good luck, you're in for a hell of a marriage. It doesn't, I don't know, maybe my family's a bit too like blunt and jokey. Maybe it's also a cultural thing, because in South Africa you just joke about everything so that you don't cry. But I think it's pretty normal to joke like that. Like, even my brother is like the kindest person in the world, sends funny memes and stuff about feeling sorry for Vaughn having to live with me forever. It's like a joking thing. Like, he doesn't feel sorry for Vaughn. In fact, if Vaughn even like smidge hurt me emotionally, in like, he wouldn't even have to do anything major. My brother would probably not be the kindest person anymore. He'd probably become very scary and very defensive. But he jokes like that. I think that they're all overreacting a little. I think that they all just need to like pause and pipe down. Everyone, like even the sister, I feel sorry for her having to spend family occasions walking on eggshells, because it doesn't sound like she can be herself. And that's a problem for me. So I'm going to tell you the result that was on Reddit. They all voted not the rascal. And basically said that she shouldn't have, her sister shouldn't have been mean. You know, her mom will do anything, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a comment here that I absolutely agree with. Why wouldn't you remove the shelf before anything can happen? You have been wanting to get rid of it, but you want to focus on your living situation. What the F does that even mean? It doesn't sound like the shelf was being used for anything important. VHS movies, put them in milk crates or something. Should have gotten rid of the shelf long ago. And then you say your husband did get rid of it, which meant this whole time it could have gone. No offense, but what's wrong with some people? And then other people are like, yeah, hello. Maybe that's why your sister was being kind of sarky. OP said the wall strap failed because of the earthquake. I'm from California. My bookshelves have been through a lot of earthquakes. That's literally the whole point of bolting them to the wall. Exactly. We don't even have earthquakes here. And I said, just screw it into the wall. Oh, she's making me mad. I strongly disagree with that vote. Look, I can strongly disagree with things. Look at me. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna skip that one for now. Wait, I put some on the thumbnail, so I kind of need to make sure I cover those. How do I see my thumbnail again? I did forced my daughter to leave the house, take down my daughter's good grades, and firing time-blind niece. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the ones that I have had to rework. So if you go and search on Reddit, you're not going to find them. I've changed the facts, but I haven't changed the premise. So just keep that in mind. 1, I apparently have to be right. So my husband thinks I disagree with everything, Oops, I think I'm guilty of this because I just did with that entire test. And it drives him crazy. We end up fighting about it all the time. Apparently, it's just one of the many things about me that get on his nerves. I never mean to be disagreeable, but I always seem to say something he takes as a disagreement, and then we're arguing. Paul and I were definitely here in the early days. It's just like two different people having to merge their normals, really. Like today, we're talking about our plans for the weekend. He mentioned wanting to go hiking, and I said I thought we had agreed to visit his parents. He got upset because he felt I was contradicting him. He kept it cool in the moment, but later said, "Do you have to disagree with everything?" and went to take a shower. Well, first of all, if you ask me a question, let me answer it. Then in the bedroom, we had a big fight about it. He said he's sick of me always disagreeing and arguing, to which I responded, I wasn't arguing, I just remembered it differently. Oh, honey. Oh, I've fallen in this trap. It's not a trap set by the husband, but like it's set by yourself wanting to have the last word, which of course made things worse. This kind of thing happens a few times a week, and he says it's so bad that he doesn't like being around me with other people, which makes me feel awful. I really try to be agreeable, but I often can't control what I say, which I know is partly due to my ADHD. So I'm wondering if anyone else has this issue with their partner. Is it normal to have these kinds of disagreements, or am I really being that difficult? Should I be more understanding of his frustration, or is he overreacting to a normal conversation? Thanks for any advice. I know it might seem like a small issue, but it keeps coming up and is really taking a toll on both of us. I'm tired of feeling like I'm always putting my foot in my mouth and would love some insights. I need to process it for a minute. If I can find my little I really wish they'd let me do a poll, but I'm very, very close to the next level of monetization. So that's good. Maybe I can get a poll then. Let's see. No, I can't. What a pity. Okay, so I need more than a minute. Okay, I can do this because then I can take a short bathroom break. Let's do this one.
To your boyfriend. Yeah, he's got a nice room. He won't have it long. He left a call for 7 a.m.
BRB. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Do we have a verdict? I've now got it on my iPad as well to see the hearts thing. So at least if you send hearts, I should be able to see it. Can I? Oh yeah, there's hearts. There's lots of hearts. Cute. I never see them. So I just said to Vaughan that it would be good for him to weigh in on this one because we've had that conversation ourselves. And it's like the relationship killer. He said once he stopped doing that, then it made everything better. But I also used to, like, I think in the early days, we'd even disagree that we were disagreeing, like this person is. Raymondo says, I've missed most of this. I'll replay it later over 2 devices and accounts. Oh, thank you. That's so kind. I only have 100 subscribers left to go till I reach the first tier of monetization, which is really cool. I think I have quite a few watch hours, but I calculated that it's like 2.5 weeks of my current pace, which is really, really cool. Too many always, usually used as a deflection. Ooh, we had to learn not to say always and never. Big time. Big time. It is a bad idea because also if I say you always do this, then it's going to be like a defensive thing. Like if someone tells me you always disagree, I'm going to be like, I don't always disagree, but then I'm disagreeing about disagreeing. I'm going to say that they are, but as they would say on the Reddit thing, it would be like a soft you are. Sorry. Because you need to figure out you're making him feel that way. And you're going to have to work as a team to figure out why. And maybe you do. And if, like with this example, he said he's going to do this thing, but he had previously said this thing, he shouldn't be seeing you saying that as a disagreement. I read it more as a reminder. I didn't feel like it was her disagreeing. So, but that also could be explained if there's always an answer. If she always has like something contrast to say to him, then he would see things worse. So I think that if she can work on that and figure out why she needs to say something in contrast to him or something, if she has to respond to everything, then he might not feel so prickly when she does. It's a tough one. I also want to just check the wording for this thing. ADHD people and justice, I think was the study. Yes. I'm going to share this tab because this plays into it for me strongly. Let me just make myself small again so you can see it. Yeah, accept your cookies. I always accept cookies. ADHD and justice sensitivity. Do you ever feel like the world is against you, that no matter what you do, you can't catch a break? So maybe, if so, maybe you're suffering from justice sensitivity. Justice sensitivity is a common trait among people with ADHD. Cookie. I accidentally didn't close the door, so I hope it's not coming through too much. Just give me 1 sec. Cookie. Okay. Justice sensitivity is a common trait among people with ADHD. It's characterized by a strong sense of fairness and deep need for justice. If you have justice sensitivity, you may feel like you're constantly being put upon or treated unfairly. There are a few reasons why people with ADHD are more likely to have justice sensitivity. First, ADHD can make it difficult to meet expectations. You may feel like you're always falling short no matter how hard you try. Second, people with ADHD are often highly sensitive to criticism. Even constructive criticism can feel like a personal attack. I've owned up to that about 4 times in this podcast. If you have justice sensitivity, there are a few things you can do to manage it. First, try to be understanding with yourself. Remember that you're doing the best you can, and that's all anyone can ask. Second, don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. If you feel like you're being treated unfairly, stand up for yourself and let your voice be heard. Finally, try to find a supportive community. There are likely others out there who understand what you're going through. If you're struggling with justice sensitivity, know that you're not alone. There are always ways to manage it and still live a happy, fulfilling life. What is justice sensitivity? It is the term to describe individuals' heightened awareness of and concern for issues of fairness and justice. Let's just go down a bit because that's a long of reading. Why do people with ADHD have justice sensitivity? There are many different symptoms of ADHD, and one of the less well-known but potentially more debilitating ones is justice sensitivity. People with ADHD, this is the same thing they said above. People with ADHD often have a heightened sense of justice and feel very passionately about issues of fairness and equality. This can make them extremely sensitive to any perceived injustice, real or imagined. Can manifest in a number of ways. People with ADHD may become excessively angry or upset if they feel they have been treated unfairly. They may also become fixated on certain issues or problems, obsessively trying to right what they see as a wrong. In extreme cases, this fixation can lead to social withdrawal and isolation. I understand that. I can see that. I can see that. I know that I fall into this category because I had to figure out what part of journalism made me pursue it and why certain things make me rage so much. And if there's an injustice, I will rabbit hole. Don't start with the sweet treats again, Renee. I'm sorry, but there is a good chance I might have to. Although I don't think I can talk for that much longer without getting vocal strain a little bit. So we might be good for to get today. But I do have to say on the record that I did have pizza for lunch and we are having pizza for dinner. So at least you know I'm consistent. So for me, like injustices, say for example, where I get really riled up is like so let's put like normal current affairs sort of things aside. If I feel like one thing that frustrated me in kind of a workspace, not now because like it doesn't really happen now, but a lot of the time with jobs, if people got treated in a way that I perceived as unjust, I would do the best I could to fight for their cause. I would try my absolute best. And sometimes it'll be a smaller situation. Someone will tell me about a friend or a family member that's going through X thing and they don't know what to do. I, in general, will try to like make sure that I can give resources and whatever, like as soon as I feel something is unfair, it becomes like a hyperfixation. And I have a feeling that that's kind of the dynamic playing out between this person and their partner. I have a feeling that she somewhat feels like he is being unfair to her, and so it almost like brings out a different side of her that needs to prove Oh, Renee lost a job for that reason, but so did my boss. One day, some years from now, when I'm old and grey and retired and living in the hills of Switzerland, I don't know why I chose Switzerland. I will tell stories about the situations that have gotten me in spaces like that. And I'm like a dog with a bone when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm literally hyper fixated. And it can, like, it's technically going to be even worse if my anxiety and everything is not in a good space, then I'm then I'm even worse. Then I'm gonna try to like fix the problems all day. Okay. I'm so glad that some of these are very like relatable in like I don't feel bad for relating because it's like, oh my gosh, I do that too. Me and chores. Oh, I'm gonna relate here too. I'm sure. Also, just for context, we both have ADHD. So the learning curve of it, and I was diagnosed 4 years into our relationship. So in the early stages, some of it definitely came across like me not understanding ADHD. Me and chores. Hi everyone. I feel like only other ADHD people can truly understand and give me proper advice on this. I need to know if this is something I can work around with the right strategy or if I just have to accept it. So here's my situation. I'm a 23-year-old woman living with my parents since 2020 things started. I enjoy living with them. It feels more like 3 adults cohabitating than a parent-child dynamic. I handle all the dog-related chores for our 2 pets, clean up when needed, and put away dishes and groceries. At the very least, I walk the dogs and put away dishes daily. I also cook occasionally, but my parents don't love my cooking, so it's not often. I'm mostly unmedicated because my parents don't support medication. How old are you? 23. So I take it twice a week without them knowing. I feel like we need to circle back to that. Taking it daily affects my appetite and sleep, so this works for now. Okay, so you're okay with being not medicated too. That's okay then. Here's my problem. My parents, my brother, when he's around, he lives separately, constantly get frustrated with me about chores. They know I'm forgetful, so they expect me to do chores immediately before I forget. I get it. There have been times they've told me something multiple times and I still forget. But it frustrates me not to be able to do chores on my own time. After work or during breaks, I'm usually tired and need to rest. When my parents see me resting, they get annoyed that I'm not using that time to help around the house. I'm a night owl and find it easier to do chores late at night after they've gone to bed. It's irritating to be constantly nagged and treated like a flake. I feel like the bad guy when I say I'll do a chore later, not immediately. I know I'm not as detail oriented as they'd like, and I do forget things, but I don't want to be a burden. I had other roommates before. One was super tidy and always kept track of chores, and the other was so easygoing she never yelled at me about anything. Though she did remind me about things occasionally. Even when my family doesn't outwardly show their annoyance, I can tell they don't feel they can depend on me. They'd rather do things themselves than ask me, and I feel awful about it. I don't want to be unfair to them, but I don't know what else to do. So, am I the rascal? Is there more I can do to be fairer to them and make them feel like they can depend on me? Also, once I get them YouTube dollars, I'm probably going to say the real word. Depending. I'll do it once and I'll see how YouTube reacts. How's that? Because right now, oopsie daisy, right now this has been pushed to the browse page. So it's showing up to more people. When I say I'll do something, I will do it. I don't need to be reminded every 6 months. I saw the coolest thing on TikTok. And I might try it myself, but I'm not committing just yet because I also don't want to disappoint myself. but there's this woman who's got a project going called the 40% project. And essentially what she's doing is she's made a list of all the projects that just need that last 40% done. And she's going to do them. And I want to do it so badly, but I also kind of feel like I don't get to 60%. I sometimes only get to 40%. So then would a person like make a list of like 40%, 50%, 60%, 80%? Like, I don't know. Maybe we do it as a group and we have a scorecard, and then the person with the highest score, but we're not going to track it. None of us are going to remember to track it. How would this work? I feel like you'd have to like submit a picture or something to be entered into it. And then like the highest person gets like an Amazon voucher or something. I don't know. But I can totally relate. Also being a night owl, before I was on Vyvanse, which if you're in the US, it's Elevans, something like that. My kind of peak and dip times were very weird. And I also have chronic insomnia. Like I'm medicated for it. It doesn't change that much all the time. So I tend to have a pretty bad dip at around 12, and then another one at about 3, and then another one at about, I'd say about 7, but then maybe at like 9, I will come to life. And then sometimes, like before, I used to be so strict about taking my sleeping tablet at 11. I would find myself doing things like I would get a burst of energy, especially in high school. The middle of the night would be when I'd be moving my room around, I'd be organizing my cupboards, like I would be getting everything done. I'm just not a daytime waking person. And also for the people who both watch true crime here and this ADHD podcast, it's kind of why I didn't think it was weird that Brian Koberger's neighbors were like, he vacuums in the middle of the night. I can always hear him like washing pots and pans and taking bins out. And it's like odd hours of the morning. I'm like, okay, so like the dude is at university, he's studying and he's teaching. When do you want him to do chores? Some of us like doing our chores in the middle of the night. Some of us like to do it to wind down, to end the day. Also, if I'm doing it, you should be proud of me in the first place. Cheering you on, been writing my book for almost a decade and about halfway there. Oh, I'm cheering you on. I've written the entire book, first draft, done. Had a beta reader look through it, give some notes, left it there. And it's a good book. It's a really good book. It's an absolutely amazing book. Can't get myself back to it. I was part of a writing group at one stage, but the problem was that either I would distract people or people would distract me, or I would find myself not being able to prioritize it with like a full-time job and life. Like I've never really been able to understand people who somehow wake up, work out, do their day job, look after kids, function properly. Like I need to do like I skate by on like how to keep myself alive. That's it. Or I'm extreme. There was a time when I had 7 jobs at the same time. So I'm either like 0 or 5,000. Okay. I think I might do one more. And then let's see, there's 3. And then there's 4. Huh. I'll do 3 and then I'll wrap up. Also because I realized, duh, that the target market of this podcast cannot listen to 2 hours. Why did I think this was a good idea? The first podcast was 3.5 to 4 hours. Why did I got bored during it. Know your target market. It's you. I do also, just for the record, try to speak slow enough that if someone wants to have me on 2 times speed, they can, but not so slow that you get bored. So if you're on rewatch and you're watching on 2 times speed and it's not working out, let me know. Oopsie, I need to share this. Okay, this will be the last one. This one wasn't specifically ADHD, but lots of ADHD people thought it was a great idea and neurotypicals thought it was horrible. That's a note that I left myself, by the way. So my daily life is kind of a mess. I manage a large number of people at my company. I'm constantly traveling and frequently get pulled in many directions throughout a given day. All in all, it's very easy for me to lose track of little details and forget something important because of all of this. I'm always looking for ways to use technology to mitigate these issues and be more organized. A couple of years ago, our IT guy showed me how the new iPhone has a scheduling system and you can set it to automatically do things like send a text at a specific time or when you arrive at a certain place. After learning how this works, I've come to use it fairly often. Pausing because I'm having a memory of Vaughn doing this. But I can't remember the exact thing. I just know that. So whenever somebody goes anywhere, I need them to let me know that they're there. And I think he had automated it that like when he stops driving, it sends a message to say here, I think. And I was like, what do you mean? What if you stop and the car thinks to stop, but you've had an accident? But it was a good idea to him. And I can see why. For example, I have it set so when I leave the house in the morning, it texts my secretary that I'll be at the office in 10 minutes. I leave at varying times depending on if an executive needs to call me about something before I get to the office. This helps her schedule out the first couple of hours of my morning when I set aside time to meet with account reps who need me to approve budgets, sign off proposals, etc. before getting to my own meetings and calls. Okay, but honey bunch, what if there is a traffic problem? I guess then you'd have to text. I don't know. I also started using it a lot in my personal life. My girlfriend really loves it when I text her in the morning, and I'd sometimes get caught up in work and forget. So I started writing a personal text out to her in the evening and setting it to send out at the same time the next morning. Just a little note about how I hope she has a great day, wishing her good luck on a presentation she has, etc. My mom is also a bit forgetful these days, so I'd frequently days in advance set up something like, hey mom, hope you're having a great day. Just wanted to make sure you remember it's niece's birthday party tonight at 7, so don't forget to bring cupcakes to go out to her that afternoon around 4 p.m. More of the same with other things, like I'd have it text my secretary a few days before a client's birthday to ask her to send a gift, things like that. Overall, I think it's been really helpful. Last week, I showed my brother how it all worked and suggested he could use it to help himself get more organized. He told my mom and girlfriend about how I use my phone. Surely this should be bro code, not like don't hook up with ex-girlfriends. He told my mom and girlfriend about how I use my phone to automate when I text them or send gifts. And now they're both really pissed at me. They say they both felt like I'd been putting in so much effort to be thoughtful and caring, despite how busy I am. But it's all just been a facade, and I'm just using my phone to automate it all. Oh, I honestly don't think that's fair. Every message I sent them is something I wrote myself. Every reminder is there just because I set it myself. I'm doing this because I felt bad that I had in the past missed these details, and I feel like I'm just using the phone to help me be more organized and thoughtful, but they clearly don't see it that way and are acting like I betrayed them or something. Am I the rascal? Oh, I feel so bad for him. His brother really betrayed his trust. Also, this is such a Vaughn topic, not me, because I'm pretty chilled. Like, he's very good at automating things, but he also struggles sometimes when he finds good systems. Not everyone's going to agree to the system and can get offended. For example, though, I've been one of those people. He suggested we put like a date time in the calendar, and I was like, so you have to remember to like date me. Now that I'm a bit older, I'm like, I don't care. You want to put it in the calendar? That's fine. Doesn't bother me. But I definitely at the time was like, why do you have to remember? Like, you should want to go on a date with me. I feel very bad for him, but I also think that they'll probably tame their views in a little bit, because at the end of the day, he did take the time to write the things. He had to set up the automation. He was doing something thoughtful, even if it was scheduled to be thoughtful. Like, it meant so much to him that they felt appreciated, that he figured out a way that they don't land up feeling unappreciated when he doesn't have the capacity to do that. And I think that's really kind. This guy has made an effort to address a flaw. No, he is not the a-hole. 100% agree. Also, why didn't I just say a-hole instead of rascal? Well, let's see if YouTube hates a-hole as well. I don't know. Renee also says not. I think he's not. And actually, what the reason I saw it was because it was shared as this guy got a lot of heat, but I think it's a game changer for people with ADHD. And I agree. If WhatsApp had better automation, I would use it as well. One thing that I definitely struggle with is like if I might know it's someone's birthday on Friday, and I think about it a million times leading up to Friday. But then on Friday, I might wake up a bit late, or, you know, there might be like a last minute meeting or something. And the whole day I'm trying not to forget, but I just don't get the chance. I would love to be able to set it up that on Friday, it just sends that message, because I have been thinking about you. I have set up that message. Like, I have taken the time. I'm trying to be thoughtful. But I can also see a little bit, because I've been that person, I can also see a little bit from their side. Also strange that him and his girlfriend don't live together, but I guess not everyone does. We did it because it made financial sense. Guys, I don't think we're having pizza for dinner. I think Vaughn's making a roast. It smells like fresh rice. Anyway, that's going to be the last one. I feel bad. I wish I could get Vaughn to weigh in, but he is currently clearly busy making dinner. And it's a Sunday, so we have so many chores to do. Got to take the bins out, change the cat's things, blah, 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 blah. So it's actually not the best day for me to put a podcast, but anyway. Millie Vicino. I think you're new, Millie. Haven't seen your name. Happy to have you here. And thank you. It is so comfy. It feels like it looks. The only problem is it matches with basically nothing except neutrals. But it literally feels like it looks. The inside isn't as fluffy. But I mean, I can like sensory stimulation. This is also a reminder. Renee is my mama. Oh, sweet. This is also a reminder that if you need sensory things, don't let your age stop you. You want to know what is the best for like calming sensories? You get like teddy bears and like clots for babies that have the different fabrics. What are they called? I think they're literally like sensory bears, or like I'm just trying to find an example. Anyway, I got one of them for myself because I like to like rub something between my thumbs. And I didn't want to be like an adult with a a stuffy toy. And then I just decided, I actually don't care. And now Bunny goes everywhere with me. And Vaughn and I even make stupid jokes and like hang him from things and make him do stupid things. And how is this so hard to find? Okay, I found the like taglet version. Share this tab instead. This. Frank is screaming. Like he's having the worst time and he's literally not. It's these. So you see it's got like all different fabrics. This is just me saying that don't let anyone tell you that because you're an adult you can't have something like soft and nice for sensory. Anyway, I am going to head out. This has been fun. Pretty proud that it landed up on the browse page as well, because I would not be censoring it if it didn't, I would be annoyed that I was censoring it. And yeah, I probably won't be live for the next few days. Wait, 1 minute. Renee or anyone else that's in here that also watches Recovery Addict, is he streaming tomorrow? It's kind of unlikely that I'll be able to do a stream because I have a hard deadline for Tuesday. But I might be able to do an evening one. Because it's Memorial Weekend, right? I could just mail him. But I also like to keep people's inboxes relatively clear. And also it's weekend, so. Because I have scheduled a vlog to come out tomorrow and then a court video on Tuesday, I think, or the other way around, I'm not sure. Which way did I do it? "24 reactions." So I literally didn't see the heart 24 times, or like, thank you if you did send that. YouTube sees it. Okay, I will figure out about tomorrow. And if it is a day that he's not streaming, then you'll see me tomorrow. If you just pop in here for the podcast, then I will see you next Sunday. I also did just want to say, if there are times when I cannot do it live, I might pre-record something. But I will try not to miss it because I put this off for 4 years. So I appreciate you hanging out with me for it. 401. Oh my gosh. That is freaking awesome. I started with, I can actually tell you. Here's my analytics. Why are you not showing analytics? I can actually tell you how wild this is. In the last 28 days, I've gone up 66 subscribers. In the last 90 days, I've gone up 130. And in the last 90 days, I've had 14,400 views. That's mad. Okay, anyway, I better say goodbye. And I will see you soon. And thank you so much for hanging out. And if you're on Rewatch Crew, put your yes or no, a-hole or not a-hole, and which story in the comments, because I would also like to see what other people are feeling and thinking about it. And I will see you soon. Bye.